In a recent visit to Japan, we visited the training sessions of Ageo Medical, which is a team in the Japan Professional League coached by Toshi Yoshida, who was the former USA Women's National Team coach. So what I've done here is put together an unscripted ball control video, and it'll show you a little bit of what they do on a daily basis to develop their ball control skills. And I don't want to talk through the entire video, but you're going to see a couple things repeated a lot in various forms. The first is what you see right now in terms of being able to control the ball in an unscripted way, where it's one hand, two hands, outside the body, that type of thing. You're going to see a lot of work on posture, either as you're looking at now in terms of passing the ball into the net and getting players used to playing the ball in a low posture, or the ball going into the net and the athlete having to drop down low and make a good play from a low posture. The other point of emphasis that you're going to see in a lot of the drills is what to do when you're out of system. So there was a lot of work in terms of just getting the ball up high. When you're out of system, you still want to be able to control your court, and one of the ways to do it is get it up high so somebody can jump and swing at it, or get it up high so you can kind of reorganize your court and get back into a more stable situation. So those three things: a lot of posture work, a lot of unscripted work where they're playing the ball just with one hand or one arm, and a lot of out-of-system work where they're getting the ball up nice and high and developing the skill and the ball control to do that. And as you look at high school players, club players, they're really not very good at getting the ball up high and managing an out-of-control or a disorganized situation. You're going to see a lot of things here at the first part where they play the ball into the net and then react either with forearms or overhead in terms of making a play out of the net. And again, this is kind of a borderline unscripted situation, and to a degree, controlling the posture and being able to get down low under a ball. And they'll do a lot of things, as you see here, just with teammates. And again, this is at the start of a practice. It's kind of a ball control thing, so it's not intended to be real high level intensity. But lots of movement, lots of touches on the ball. The thing that I was, unbelievably impressed with is how many times in the course of a practice people just touch the ball, and forearms, overhead, swinging, lots of ball contacts. As you see now, again, it's kind of an unscripted at the net, work area, and the tosser has the option of, after the jump block, of tossing the ball under the net, over the net, into the net. So the blocker has to drop and just react to whatever the situation is. And as you can see, sometimes they'll play the ball with one arm, sometimes with two, sometimes they set it, sometimes they pass it. And there's no right or wrong. This is just being comfortable playing the ball in a wide variety of environments. Every practice would have some degree of, or I should say some form of pepper. But it wasn't just random pepper. As you see, this is very controlled, and the players are working on defensive moves. Now some days it was, as you see here, balls coming right at them, and they would either have to drive forward under the ball or a hard hit ball, or simulating a hard hit ball, where they would dig the ball and rock back to cushion the attack. Some of the moves are outside the feet, where the player will dig and roll to the side. But it's very, very controlled. The idea is not to hit the ball necessarily hard at the partner. It's the idea of giving them chances to work on their skill and their touch. So as you see here in this drill, they're digging to themselves and then setting the ball back. With the idea being the good ball control, they're going to dig the ball nice and low. They're going to cushion the ball. They're going to develop a feel for the ball. So they don't have to dig it real high. It's the players without good ball control that have to dig it high. And these players dig it very low, nice cushion, nice feel for the ball. And then at times they would, pick it up a little bit in terms of the velocity of the attack and, start to ratchet up the intensity of the warm-up. One thing you never saw while they were playing pepper or in a defensive situation is the swiveling of the hips. They would always face the ball and drive their hips and body behind the ball like you see there. Where as you go into so many club gyms, they tend to turn sideways when they dig. The Japanese players were always facing the ball and always driving their hips behind the ball. This player for the Agio team, I thought, was just a remarkable defender, just from the perspective of her balance. Her posture is really good when she's playing pepper. She's always in a low crouch position. Great feel for the ball as it left her forearms. Always got down underneath the ball. Just a wonderful back row defensive player. But she rarely was in an emergency situation. Her body was always under control. One of the points of emphasis that's worth mentioning is the distance they are away from each other when they're playing pepper. And again, this is a little bit different than what we do in our country, where we tend to get 10 or 15 feet apart. They were always 20, 25 feet apart. Hit the ball fairly hard with control. Again, this is an example of their defensive work in terms of the ball's not always hit hard, but it's hit where they have to work on their floor skills. And notice how the player here is driving out under the ball, and the coach is just hitting half speed, 3/4 speed. So it's not a real high intensity session. It's just lots of reps where you have to drop down under the ball and work on your postures, work on stepping out and rolling. And I think a lot of this is valuable time. So often we think of defensive work as the coach is hitting the ball hard or the players are hitting the ball hard, and I don't think that's the case. I think you work on your skill without hitting the ball real hard, as the players are doing here. And again, it's also a good warm-up where the players are having to drop to different postures and control the ball. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of work being done, both in terms of posture, playing the ball out of the net, but then being able to make a play once you're there. So as you see here, the ball goes into the net, but it's not good enough just to get the ball out of the net. They want to be able to put the ball to a hitter. So there's lots of work being done in terms of broken plays. How can we end up with a swing at the ball? So as a player drops down low, they're trying to put the ball up high to left front so they can get a swing. A good coach knows how to control the trajectory of the ball and how he wants the ball to come out of the net. So as you can see here, Toshi's lobbing the ball into the top of the net, and it mandates that the player drop down low to make a play, because the ball is going to have more of a tendency to come straight down. Or he can drop the ball into the bottom of the net where it'll reflect out a little bit higher and farther away from net as he's doing here. So a good coach can kind of play the game with the players in terms of what he wants them to do, and then controls how he puts the ball into the net. As they went from controlled pepper with a partner, they would put a coach on the box. And again, ball's not being hit necessarily extremely hard, but he's working on postures. He would hit the ball low in front of them, as you see there, where they'd have to drop down low, hit the ball outside their feet, hit the ball high where they'd have to play, above their head. So all the postures, all the movements in a fairly controlled environment. But again, we're trying to get swing, so the middle blockers are having to make sets off of the dig. While he was doing this, quite often he'd have assistant coaches on the other side hitting the ball a little bit harder at players, and again going for a dig set routine, but it was more of a high intensity, hard hit ball environment. From a two-person drill, they would expand to 3, 4, or 5 players with the coach hitting. And as you can see here, they're working on defending the cross-court shot, the setter's releasing up, and they're going for a dig set routine. Now they tended to play kind of a rotation defense where the middle back would swing to the line, as you see there. And we're going to talk more about how they develop their defensive system in a different video, but it relates to the squares they have on the floor. But again, the coach is hitting the ball fairly hard, but not out of control. They want to have some good quality reps and not spend all their time just not being able to get to contact. So it's hard hit balls, but basically everything is within one step of the hitter or right at them. But they have to use different postures, high balls and low balls. The next progression was more over-the-net system work, but it wasn't all-out play. The team on the near side was basically doing a dig set swing with the assistant coaches doing the swinging. The team on the far side was working on their defensive system, but it wasn't transition work. It was just dig, set, catch. And in this way they got in lots of reps without lots of jumps, and over the course of a long season that becomes pretty important. So again, the team on this side is the initiator of the attack. The team on the far side is the defender. So the general theme of Gio's ball control work was lots of focus on posture, high posture, low posture. Lots of focus on technique in terms of stepping out and playing the ball, even though the ball wasn't necessarily hit hard at them. Lots of emphasis on out of system work where they had to set the ball high or pass the ball high so they could still get a swing. Lots of emphasis on varying the types of contacts, one arm, two arm. So it was lots of reps, lots of work, and we learned a lot in terms of watching Toshi approach his ball control routine on a daily basis.